is a special one because we have a special guest that I'm going to introduce right now. His name is Tim Higham. Now, Tim not only is the CEO and founder of Ascend TMS, okay, which has like 40 or 50,000 TMS customers across the world, okay, so they're huge. He's also, prior to that, was also founded and grew his own very successful freight brokerage. So he has a very different perspective, right? He was a broker first, and then he developed some technology, and now has one of the most advanced TMSs out there. And so I invited him on today because I want to get his take on this whole digital freight brokerage phenomenon that's taken place. So welcome to the show, Tim. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate it. And just for the record, the title is How to Become a Digital Freight Broker Without Spending, millions. But if they want to spend millions, they can do that. I want just if they want to.
Yeah, I would not recommend it. That was my route. No. That was the route that I took. And most people that follow me know that. I invested well over $1 million into develop my own TMS and technology
Easily.
Over the course of, well over. It was countless amounts of dollars that I spent. And Tim can attest to that because
that doesn't invested all the time, right? I mean, so that's the hard cost is millions of dollars to get hire programmers, but that doesn't account for all the headaches and the time it takes and Dennis's costs, sleepless nights.
Yeah. Developing software is extremely difficult. And you hear everybody like, it costs twice as much as you think and take twice as long. Nope. It's going to cost 10 times what you think and take you 20 times as long. It's just the way software is. So where you guys are very fortunate, and I don't want to get out too much on a tangent, where you guys are very fortunate that are just coming into the industry now or relatively new to the industry, is that technology has come a long way since I launched in 2003. I developed my own technology back then because there wasn't a whole lot of good technology. Right? There just wasn't a whole lot of good freight broker TMSs out there. There were a few, but the ones that were out there were really pricey. And so I decided to develop my own. And if I started today, I definitely would not. I'd be using Ascend. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No questions asked.
Dennis, when we started the brokerage, we were a nice size brokerage. We got to about $40 million in revenue. And we actually also had assets as part of that. And like everybody on the show, everybody listening knows you have assets as a broker because even if it's just one old truck parked behind, in the parking lot behind your building or behind your house, it's because when you call somebody, you want to say, the first question they say when you call a shipper, well, do you have assets? And you can look out your window at your 1973 Peterbilt and you can say, oh, yeah, we have assets. So we had assets as well. So quite simply for that reason. And when we started years ago, I'm talking about the early 2000s like you did, there was only 2 or 3 of the big name TMSs out there. I won't name them. And they were good systems. There's nothing wrong with those systems. Not as good today because things have caught up with them, but you needed $100,000 easily, plus you needed a full-time IT person. You needed to be technically savvy. And that was really the realm of just the chosen few that could afford it and had the tech expertise to do it. And they talk about, we now today, Dennis, talk about the democratization of freight and business. And what we've done, if you look at the technology available to a small broker today, and you go back 20 years, what you can get today for, literally a cup of coffee per day is what you would spend $100,000 to $200,000 on 20 years ago.
Yeah, pennies. People don't appreciate it because they don't have that history. And I try to share that with people. Honestly, we're all very spoiled right now, right? We're all very spoiled. If you didn't live in those days where, number one, the internet speed isn't what it is today, and technological advancements aren't worth what they are today, and the price of technology going down literally through the floor. And now you have companies like Ascend and other software companies that are out there spending millions of dollars to help develop a product that you can basically rent or use for like $50, $100, a month, which is peanuts. Absolutely. Right?
And we can say, people are spoiled, but I like to say, people are privileged today. So spoiled, yes, but privileged also, because
that's true.
The privilege is the opportunity that it provides for a small guy or lady, a small husband and wife team, or a couple of friends to be able to create a business that 20 years ago was very, very difficult to do unless mommy or daddy or somebody gave you a couple of $100,000 for software and for, accounts receivable. Now you can get a TMS that's plugged into the financial resources you need, factoring resources, pay me right now. You press a few buttons and you don't need an accounting person anymore. This is a privilege and an opportunity that is amazing, that has never happened before. Only in the last few years has this opportunity become available to the small person that wants to run their own business.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right. Well, listen, let's wrangle it in real quick and let's talk about something specific. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into this whole, why don't we start with this? Because I don't know where everybody on this live is starting. And, again, we have people that are brand new and are just learning what a freight broker is. And we have other people that have been in the industry for probably a decade. Talk to us about what is a digital freight broker? What is your definition of a digital freight broker? And what does that look like today?
Yeah, so there is no exact definition of a digital freight broker, right? However, digital is a journey. So you can call yourself digital if you can do one or two things electronically, one thing electronically. But then if you can do 100 things electronically, you are more digital than the person that can do one thing electronically. So don't look at digital as an all or nothing situation. You don't just say, I'm a fully digital broker, because even the digital brokers today aren't fully digital. If you look at some of the big name digital brokers that are very good out there, the Uber Freights or the Convoys of the world, those guys do a lot of things in the background that are still manual. They're trying to digitize more and more, but they are more digital than the manual brokers of 5, 10, 15 years ago. And then even the legacy guard, all of these, by the way, are all partners of ours to some degree, but the CH Robinsons and the TQLs of the world are the legacy big boy brokers that, quite frankly, have come a long way. They've taken those processes that were manual and they're converting them one by one into more digital processes. So please don't think that you've got to have an MIT degree in technology to become a digital broker. What you need to do is find technology that allows you to begin that digital journey and then slowly but surely do things digitally, where before you would have had to put a human being and do it manually.
So let's do this. Let's give people a couple of examples, right? So when you and I first started 20 years ago in the brokerage industry, there was a lot of manual, right? There was a lot of manual going on, right? And even throughout the course of my time having my brokerage, LDI, we were working towards trying to create more digital format to streamline automation, to have a lot more automation. Give us a couple of examples of some of the things that used to be very manual, which are now almost automatically automated.
Yeah, there's so many. And so, one that I have a visual in my mind is I remember walking into the office one day and through reception, the receptionist at the office at the brokerage, used to handle all of the incoming paperwork from the carriers. So we would get PODs mailed in or faxed in. And I remember walking in one day and the poor receptionist, there was like 2 piles of paper. It was like something from a comedy show, like the Office or something. And so she was called Roseanne. And so there was a pile of paper. They must have been a 1.5 feet tall, each one, because the mailman had just come in. And I walked in and I couldn't see her head. I could just see the top of her head over this paper. And I said, like, Roseanne, what's all this? She says, oh, the mailman just came and this is all of the incoming stuff, for today that we've got to process. And what we would do at the time, we would open every single thing up and we would scan it all in, the typical kind of trying to turn paper documents into electronic. But that required a huge amount of effort. We had a high-speed scanner. But she would have to literally go open the TMS at the time and put in the load number. And then she would put the documents on the scanner, press a button, they would go through. And then those images were then now attached. But that would take hours and hours and hours for her to do that.
Yeah, it was almost a full-time job.
It was a full-time job. She barely had time she shouldn't have been called the receptionist. She should have been called the scanner.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. And so today you don't have that issue. You don't have to have the issue. If you still want people to mail stuff to you, hey, God bless you. But if you don't want it, there are so many resources today. For example, with Ascend, and I'm not doing this because other TMSs do this, but a driver, when he finishes your load, can literally text in the image of the POD. And when it texts it into Ascend, we look at that image and then we assign that POD and the documents, including lumper receipts, whatever they have, to the right load. And we basically show you on the screen, hey, this is the documents for load 1, 2, 3, 4. Does it look right? Yep, that looks right. That's it. There is no scanning. There is no machine. Same with TransFlow. We're connected to the TransFlow network. So documents that come, if your drivers that you use, TransFlow is the most widely used app on all driver phones today. If they take a picture, same thing. That document comes into Ascend, and we assign it to the right load. Trucker Tools, if they have Trucker Tools and they do the imaging there, it comes into Ascend. We assign it to the right load. Are they using the Keep Trucking ELD, which about half of the market is? If they are, they can take a picture with the ELD or with the Keep Trucking app, and that comes into Ascend and is attached to the right load. So that is one example of something where today you don't need to have that individual human being doing all of the documentation and the paperwork scanning, and that would save you, let's call it $40,000 to $50,000 all in. That's a $50,000 savings that 20 years ago, me and you, Dennis, we couldn't get out of. You had to hire that person. Today, you don't need that person.
100%.
Profit.
The logistics, freight, transportation business is extremely paper intensive. At least it was. And so that was one of the first big hurdles that we tried to build into our own technology, much like Tim built into his when he was running his brokerage. And the same thing has happened. Other service providers have created solutions, and now TMSs are integrating with them. And so now that issue is all but gone, right? That issue is all but gone. You have all kinds of options there. So that's a perfect example of taking something that can be very manual, and you can still do it very manual today, and saving an enormous amount of time, right? And an enormous amount of time, energy, and money, which is ultimately going to drop right to your bottom line from a profitability standpoint.
Yeah, and so I'll give you another example. Is once you've got the load is finished, there's no OS&D, everything's good, no claims, and you've got the imaging. Before, you would have to print all that out, and then if you had a factoring relationship, you would have to then either mail or go to their portal and then upload everything. Today, we have integrations with hundreds, maybe 80 different factors through the HubTran network, TriumphPay Audit, TriumphPay. But bottom line is, you can pick from a list of all the factors you use, and then when you have want to get paid on load 1, 2, 3, 4 again, you just say get paid. And what we do is we send all the load information inside Ascend along with all the paperwork. It goes into the back office system over at your chosen factoring company, whether it's Triumph Business Capital, Loves Financial, Engaged, all of the big guys. And you can send that to the back office, and then they ingest that, they read it and process it. And then the next time you look at Ascend, literally 5 seconds later, it says it's in processing, it's been approved. And then it'll say on the screen, do you want that sent to your personal account or your checking account, your fuel card? How do you want that broken up? And then you press a few buttons, and hey, presto, the money, if you factored $10,000 of invoices, you can get $8,000 put into your business account, and you can put, $2,000 onto, a cash card or something.
Yeah, no, and listen, before I forget, because I should have mentioned this at the beginning, for those of you that stick around to the end, Tim and I have a special offer for you. Okay. And it's definitely one you're not going to want to miss. If you want to learn a little bit more about Ascend and their TMS and how this whole process works. And, we're going to have a really great, crazy offer that you're going to get access to at the end, but you got to stick around with me. And I just don't want to forget that. So make sure you stick around here. You can sign up for a free account plus a bunch of other stuff that we're going to
So when Dennis invited me onto the show, he said, look, I want to give something to my viewers, and so we put our heads together and came up with something that I think that is going to be really beneficial to anybody listening. If you've been in the business for 1 week or 1 year or 10 years, I think that what we have to give you for free, completely free. I think it'll be blow your mind, because nobody else is giving away this stuff.
Yeah, and I don't want to skip over this, but I want you guys to understand something. Freight Broker Bootcamp and Ascend TMS now have a formal partnership. It is the first and it is the only partnership with any TMS provider. Okay, so you have to understand that. I have not partnered with, I've been doing the training for over a decade, and have not partnered with any companies. I feel comfortable enough with Tim and his team and his technology that I'm more than willing to put my reputation on it. And that's why I had him on the show. So we have a formal partnership. So that's why we put this offer together. We put this webinar together. We put this training together, because we really want you guys to understand what a digital freight broker is and some of the steps that you can take to leverage digital to help increase your profits, make your job easier, spend less time. And that goes whether you decide to use Ascend or any other TMS, but this is just going to help educate you as to what exactly is out there and how to start leveraging it. Okay.
Yeah. And this is not an advertisement for Ascend TMS. There are literally hundreds of TMSs out there. And I joke sometimes that, TMSs are like shirts. There's one for every occasion. So there are TMSs that are really good at heavy haul. There's TMSs that are really good at dray, business, import, export, working with forwarders. So I just want everybody to know that whichever TMS that you choose to use, or if you want to DM me, via LinkedIn after this, or maybe you, Dennis, I'm more than happy. If you say, hey, I'm in the X business or the Y business, is your TMS good for me, or what TMS should I use? We have great relationships with other TMSs that specialize in certain areas, bulk, liquids, food grade stuff, hazmat. And so we're able to say, hey, our TMS will work for you, but if you're only doing hazmat or you're only doing, dray work, try this TMS. It's very similar to Ascend, no upfront costs, etc. So I want people to understand our objective here is to help you out, grow your business, whether it's our TMS or somebody else's.
Exactly. And so listen, let's pivot back into that example, because I want to talk. We talked about taking all the paper out of it, right? We talked about, another very labor intensive process and a timely process, which was the whole factoring component.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how we can talk about Ascend, or we can talk about just TMS in general. If you have a specific feature in Ascend, that would be great. That allows people to source carriers and drivers faster, get access to more drivers, to be able to cover more loads. Because that's one of the biggest challenges that I hear right now from brokers, new and old, is that capacity is tight, depending on the type of equipment and market you're in. Can you talk a little bit about how that works inside of Ascend, or just in general as it relates to how technology is making that more profitable?
Yeah, so we've got relationships inside Ascend with several capacity, let's call them aggregators. But there's something that even you don't know about, that is an announcement we're about to make. The press release actually will go out in a couple of weeks, and you're literally, and Dennis, you're the only person to know this, but there's a system out there that's been around for many years called Carrier Lists. And Carrier Lists essentially is a massive database of all of the carriers on every particular lane. They've been around for a long time. And so we have a relationship with them where we're going to be putting out a press release in 2 weeks. We have an offer for anybody that's an Ascend user. We'll be able to use Carrier List for 30 days for free at a price that is unheard of. I mean, when they came to us and said, hey, we want to do this, we have other aggregation products inside Ascend that we said to these guys, look, if you want to help out the small guy, our average user, we have 44,000 customers using Ascend. Our average number of users per account is 2.8 people. And I know technically you can't have 0.8 people. It's mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have, 2 people and a short guy. So we have 2.8 people per Ascend account. What that means is that those individuals are having to find customers. They're having to do, all of the work to enter loads and to track those loads, but they also have to source capacity. And so we have this relationship with Carrier Lists that allows you to be able to say, hey, from Dallas to Tacoma, I have this particular load, and help me find capacity that is going to be nearby my origin point in Dallas, that's going to be emptying out today or tomorrow morning. And it'll give you essentially a list of people to start working with. They may have already moved that truck. They may have, basically booked the truck with somebody else, but it gives you a starting point. So we're trying to bring this digital technology to that 2.8 average users. Now I say, we've got a lot of customers with 1 or 2 people. We've got the biggest broker that uses us is $11 billion. We have one broker I talked to yesterday on Friday with 360 something users. So our user counts are all over the place. And what the bigger guys are asking for is capacity aggregation. Help us find trucks that are available from our loads. And when we do that technology trickles down to the small guy, because in Ascend, for all 44,000, when we put a feature out, you don't have to, ask for that feature. We turn it on for everybody. And whether you decide to use a feature or not is up to you. So that's an announcement that is new to you. I know it is. We just got the deal done.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah. So that's what technology does. That's digital freight brokerage right there.
Yeah, it's funny because this is what you guys have to understand about a company like Ascend, right? That has a cloud-based, TMS product like this, is that whenever they develop a feature, right, that's highly, that's in high demand, that usually comes from one of their big clients or a large group of their smaller clients. And then they spend months and months and months working on it and tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to make it happen, they roll that out to the whole user database. So if you're the brand new guy on the block, you don't even know that that wasn't available 3 months ago, but now you have the advantage of that. So this is where you don't have to spend all that time and energy and money learning technology, hiring programmers, managing programmers, product development, all of that. That's the reason why today, if I started a brokerage today, and I don't plan on doing that, trust me, I have no intention to do it, but if I started a brokerage today, I would use a third-party software like Ascend. Okay.
Yeah, just to give an example, Dennis, on Thursday, this past Thursday, we do feature releases every 2 weeks. Whatever's ready every 2 weeks, we put it out to everybody. So on Thursday, one feature that you just reminded me of is Keep Trucking. I'm sure everybody's heard of Keep Trucking. It's and the ELDs are in half of the market out there. Well, they've got a load board called the Smart Load Board. And what that means is that if you can get a load into Keep Trucking's Smart Load Board, it means that all of those drivers on their ELD in their cab, when they end up at 123 Main Street in Dallas and they're looking for a load, they say, find me a load. And all the loads that the Smart Load Board has at Keep Trucking says, hey, Dennis, here's all the loads within 3 or 4 miles of you in Dallas at 123 Main Street. And that's in the cab of the driver. So on Thursday, we're one of the few TMSs to connect to that Smart Load Board. So yes, you can post loads to all the major load boards inside Ascend. There's about 53 load boards that you can post to with one click of a button. It shoots this out to all the big name brands. But on Thursday, that same load now appears at Keep Trucking's Smart Load Board, and any driver that happens to be available near your load can see it in their cab on their ELD.
Yeah. So you want to talk about being able to get access to small fleets and owner operators that are hard to find.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
Absolutely.
That's exactly how you do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's the advantage. That's the advantage. So here's the thing, I realized a long time ago, and you, as well as you did early in the development of, your software and our systems, that technology, when you have I had large competitors when I started. CH Robinson was around and TQL wasn't quite as big, but there were all kinds of big brokers out there. Okay. When I first started back in 2003, what I realized was the way technology was going is that it could help level the playing field. Now, CH Robinson spends tens of millions of dollars a year on technology. Okay. And I'm just talking overall technology. I don't even know. It's a huge budget that they spend on technology. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. They're a multi-billion dollar company. And I'm never going to be able to do that. But the great part about today, where we are as it relates to TMS technology and just technology and innovation in general, is that you no longer have to do that. Their big problem is they've got hundreds of millions of dollars worth of legacy systems that they can't just abandon. Your advantage is you don't have any of that. You literally start with a clean slate with the most current technology there is. That's the reason why I had Tim on. I get hundreds of questions for hundreds of times per month, literally. I'm not exaggerating, through our blog and through the lives and through our YouTube channel and through the course that we have for Broker Bootcamp. Hundreds of times per month, we're asked, what's the best TMS to use? What TMS should I use? Where should I start with? What software should I start using? And to be extremely honest with you, I said, I got to figure this out because I'm sick of answering this question. And then I got to develop a relationship that I can then point those people to that I trust and that I know they're going to be taken care of. So that's why I did that. I had met Tim previous to this several years ago and had a great conversation with him then, but I've kind of continued to follow him. And I just think that if you aren't a broker right now, don't stick your head in the sand and just assume that things are going to get better and that you're going to continue to thrive. You have to leverage technology, and you want to partner with the best technology partner that you can for the budget that you have. And we're going to show you at the end that you can afford most TMSs you can afford, right? Especially if they're web-based. But the offer we're going to make for you guys here shortly is it's kind of going to blow your mind. Okay.
Yeah, what I'd like to say, to the people listening today is that, when you and I started, Dennis, we would need 5 people to say, do $5 million worth of business, right? That's when people start to really max out about $1 million per employee. But today you can do that same amount of business if you use the right technology with 2.5 or 3 people, maybe even less than that. It's not about adding more people as you grow. It's about adding the right technology so you don't need to add more people. So I see all the time people with 2-3 users in Ascend. They've got $6-7 million with a business, and they're leveraging our technology, but other technology too, to be able to not have to spend $50,000 on another human being, which will that other human being will max out at some point. They say, look, let's do it right. Measure twice, cut once. Let's use technology, hook it into Ascend or whatever our TMS is, and then we don't have to hire that $50,000 person. And if you go to our website, we put a list of the top 12 things to avoid when getting your new TMS. So if you're using spreadsheets and whiteboards today or another TMS, and you're thinking about changing TMSs, there's a list of 12 things on our website. I think it's in the features. Go to the features section of our website, thefreetms.com. You can't forget that. Go to the features, and it'll say something like 12 things to look for when getting your TMS. And whoever you choose, go through that list of 12 just questions and make sure, for example, when you and I started, Dennis, every TMS, it'd say, okay, we'll do a demo for you in a couple of weeks. But then when you decide to use us, we want $100,000 down payment. Plus, we're going to force you to go into a training contract and a support contract. And then every year, we're going to charge you 15% maintenance fee on top of it. Oh, and then you need these servers. And who's going to run your servers for you, by the way? So what we did is as we've grown up through the industry, you don't need to do those things anymore. So we've got that list of 12 things to follow. So you don't have to go back 20 years, using old, horrible legacy technology. You can get an advantage over a lot of the brokers that you look around. Brokers have been around for 10, 20 years. If you're new in the business and you use the right technology, it's like jumping into a Ferrari. You can bypass all the Hondas because they're still, they've got old technology. You don't have to be encumbered by that.
100%. And listen, I just want to remind you all, stick around to the end to get this special offer, because for those of you that aren't already an Ascend customer, and many of you may already be Ascend customers, if you're not already an Ascend customer, we're going to make a special offer where you guys can get enrolled for absolutely free. Plus, we're going to throw a little bit of sugar on top there. So another quick question before we kind of wrap this up. So what do you think? You've developed a lot of innovations. We talked about some of those, removing paper and adding capacity and a lot of different features. And there's way too many to even consider talking about on this short interview right there. I've went through the system and there's hundreds of features that I didn't even have in my system. And I spent millions of dollars. So I know how difficult those are to create and integrate. But here's the question. What's the next generation? Just to kind of, for my own selfish perspective, as well as some of the people that are listening and that are a little more tech savvy or interested, what's the next generation of technology? What are some of the big innovations that you see happening as it relates to TMS that's going to really focus and help brokers? What's happening in the next 2, 3, 5 years that you think is going to have a huge impact?
Yeah, there's the two or three things that are happening. The minor one first is that people don't want to go into 15 different systems every day. What they have all basically decided upon, they say, look, I want my TMS. That's the little world I live in. 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. I want my TMS to be the one place that my people go to. And then I want all of the things that they want access to be integrated and connected to that TMS. They don't want to go into 15 systems anymore, retyping the same information again and again to do things. They want their TMS to talk to those other systems and be integrated without you having to know what an API is or how an API works. Most people don't know what API stands for. And so it's true, they just don't. I think sometimes people like us, I'm a technologist, we just assume when we're throwing out all these acronyms, everybody knows what we're talking about. They don't. What people really want is they say, look, all I know is I've got an account already with TruckStop or with TransFlow or whoever it is, and I want to enter my user ID and password, and I want it to work. That's what I want it to do. And so that's, I think, number one, ease of integration without APIs and complicated acronyms. But the most important thing that's happening is my prediction is in the next between 5 and 10 years, I think that all freight transactions will be digital. Now, what does that mean? Today, if you have a load that you need to cover, you've still got to do certain manual steps. You post the load electronically usually, but then you've got to post that load and then you have to wait. And you wait for the phone to ring. But at the same time, you might also go on to say truckstop.com or a load board, and then you start looking for the trucks that are available and you start making phone calls, right? That's how you do things generally today. The future is going to be where the system you use, whether that's Ascend or another TMS, that system will say, hey, Dennis has a load available. And I'm going to go to 10,000 other systems that I know truckers use. And I'm going to look at those systems to find out who's got a truck available tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. within a 5-mile radius. And this isn't posting. This is literally look at that system is going to look at Ascend will look into every single system 10,000 times. And it'll say, oh, 38 drivers are going to be available within 30 miles tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. And so the system is basically doing the matching portion for you. And then you're going to say, wow, this is great. I can see that this one doesn't have the right equipment. I need a 53-foot trailer. So you're going to further narrow it down. And then you'll get down to 3 or 4 drivers that are available. And then you will basically, it's like a matchmaker. You know, you'll basically say, hey, I want to match now with that truck. That driver, the driver or the dispatcher at the trucking company sees a little thing pop up. Dennis has a load for you. You know, would you be interested in seeing this? Dennis has got a trust score of 99 out of 100. He's been using Ascend and paying his bills. I can see that he's profitable. He's a good risk for you, Mr. Driver, to take this load. And those two matches happen together. And whether that's Ascend talking to a McLeod system, or whether it's a TMW system talking to a TIE TMS system, it's all going to be system to system talking in the background. And all you do as a human being, you say, yeah, I want that truck. And the trucker says, I want that load. Everything then is transmitted electronically. I am sure there'll be a small fee to both entities. So if I'm the guy with the load, Dennis, there'll be a $5 fee. I'm making this up. You as the driver or the dispatcher for the trucking company, Dennis, you'll get charged $5. But you basically just covered a load with very little deadhead. Everybody's happy. And it's all done electronically. That is the future of technology. And I know it is because we are working with other entities right now to make that a reality. And I'm talking the biggest load boards and the biggest third-party freight entities out there to make that a reality. And if they're working with us, I'm sure they're also working synchronously with other TMSs at the same time.
No, that's a really good point. And this is the reason why, this is the core reason why I wanted to have Tim on, and I wanted to help educate you guys in this area, because I want you to know what's available today, but what's more importantly, why it's important to pick the right partner because of the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to build a successful freight brokerage, it's not going to happen overnight, right? Maybe, your first year, the technology is going to help you this much. Your second year, the technology is going to help you this much. But in 10 years, when you've got a 20 or 30 or $50 million brokerage, if you're fortunate enough to do that, your technology is going to be the backbone of the entire business. Absolutely. And it's going to be the thing that allows you to be competitive from a rating perspective, because you're not going to have what Tim said. We used to have 5 employees for $5 million. Now you need maybe 2, maybe 3. And as technology advances, you're going to need even less employees because of the leverage and the automation and all the things that, Tim just shared with you. So,
yeah, and I've seen this. I've seen freight brokers start with Ascend, and I'm sure with other TMSs too. I can only speak for Ascend, Dennis. I've seen people start with one a user, and then 2 or 3 years later, I look again, or they call me up, and I'm like, wow, now you've got like 11 or 12 people. What happened? Oh, yeah, they got a few customers. They started doing business with them electronically. Their service was good. They started to tap into these capacity networks that we have. Next thing you know, they've got 11 people. Now, if they're making 10, 12, 14 million in revenue a year, they're making a gross profit, of 1.5 to $2 million. You pay all the people, and the person that started the company has got $500,000 left over. He's paying himself $500,000 or $700,000 a year. They've built a really nice lifestyle business. You don't need to be thousands of people. You can get to 4, 5, 10 people, and you can have an amazing life and make $500,000 a year and create a lifestyle business using technology in supply chain.
Love it. Love it. Well, listen, we could sit here and talk for hours about all the features and all the innovation and all the things that are happening in and around the whole digital freight brokerage space. But what I want to do here now is I want to kind of share that special offer with them. So do you want to tee it up? Do you want me to share? How do you want to offer it?
So I'll tee it up, and then, you can just fill in the blanks if you want. So, yep. Dennis wanted to put something together to allow the small broker that's just starting out, or somebody just thinking of starting out, to be able to, basically have the best chance of success. So what the offer is you get to send TMS through Dennis, through Freight Broker Bootcamp. You get it for 30 days for free, but we're putting in a shipper directory. So you get 26,000 shippers. The shippers, we have the credit scores, contact information. You can sort by location. And the reason that we threw that in is years ago, we used to charge for this, and you can buy other lists online. It'll cost you anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000 to get a shipper list like this that's been curated. And so we decided, let's go ahead and give that, you know, to your students, right, or to your program watchers, let's call them, to be able to give them the ability to hit the phones. You've still got to do the work. You can't just look at a shipper list and expect your phone to start ringing. You need to say, I'm looking for people that are in food grade products. They're in the, you know, within 100 miles of Des Moines, Iowa. I need to know who the transportation manager is and a phone number and an email. We will provide that for you. And then also to be able to give your employees, when you first hire that first salesperson, the salesperson looks at you like a deer in headlights and says, well, what do I do now? And I want people to be able to say, look, we have a shipper directory. Start at the letter A and work your way down to letter Z. And you will eventually, it's a numbers game, but the more people you call, the more relationships you make, the more business you will get. So that that shipper directory, we decided we're going to throw it in completely free for anybody coming from Dennis.
You're going to go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com /TMS. Okay. But when you go to that page, it's going to describe the offer. You're going to be able to sign up for free. You get a 30-day trial. Plus you're going to get the 26,000 shipper database. But when you enroll, it's for free. The next page after that, you're going to be asked to put in a coupon code. In order to get the free database, in order to get the 30 days for free, you got to put in the coupon code FBBC. That's it. FBBC, Freight Broker Bootcamp.
Freight Broker Bootcamp.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
If they can't figure that out, you shouldn't be in business for yourself.
I agree 100%. So I'll get 100 emails from people saying, what was that again? All right. So it's freightbrokerbootcamp.com /TMS. That's going to bring you to the page. You can read all the details. And then at that point, you can enroll for free, a 30-day trial for free. And then from there, you have to put in the coupon code. I want you to make sure, because you're going to come back. Once you sign up and you don't put the coupon code in, we don't have time to go back and, you know, redo all these accounts and try to tag them to different things. So you got to put the coupon code in. If you don't do that, FBBC in the coupon code, then you're going to lose out on the offer. You'll still be able to get a free account, but you're not going to get the $26,000 or the 26,000 shipper database, and you're not going to get any of the other goodies. And here's the thing. This offer, we were only going to make this offer available to Freight Broker Bootcamp students, but I'm making it available to anybody, but you have to get signed up today. If you don't get signed up today, this offer is likely going to disappear and will go to only Freight Broker Bootcamp students. Okay. So this is kind of a one-time short window that you have the opportunity to take advantage of this special offer, even if you're not enrolled in Freight Broker Bootcamp. In the future, you know, this is probably going to be separate and exclusively only to people that are paid members of the Freight Broker Bootcamp community. So, you know, we're going to see how things go, but right now you have the ability to get in there. So click the link, get enrolled, use the coupon code FBBC, and then you're going to be able to get instant access to the free account. You'll get the shipper directory, you'll get all that stuff, and you'll start learning how to use the TMS. And that, you know, that's another important thing, you know, that I really liked about the way Tim runs his business is he has all kinds of training behind the scenes, whether it be online or different training programs to teach you how to use the program.
It's all completely free. So there's no gotchas. There's no hidden fees. Look, try it for 30 days. If you don't like it, call me up and we'll send you to a competitor. But if you like it, at the end of the 30 days, you know, you can decide to put your credit card in and continue. As you add users, we just charge you for the additional users. You take a user out, there's a credit. You basically, you know, so it's all done dynamically. Training is free. All training. We do training classes every single day at 2 p.m. And then on Fridays, we do kind of a questions and answers session. So you can come and ask anything you want. You can take those training classes multiple times if you want to. We do accounting, operations, sales. There's all different areas of the system that we train you on. And when you've got questions about brokerage in general or assets in general, just ask us, because all the people that are doing these training classes were freight brokers, experienced freight brokers. Many of them used to work for me and they've got 10 plus years. These are support people with 10 years in brokerage. And then on the support side, You got a problem, you got an issue, just you call us up. We actually have human beings, believe it or not. You call a free number, you speak to an actual human being that's got at least 10 years in freight brokerage, and they will help you. And that's all free. There's never a charge for this stuff.
Love it. Perfect. Well, listen, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Tim, thank you so much for joining me. I know your time is valuable. Tim, any final words, anything you want to leave the audience with before we wrap it up?
No, the only thing I'll say is that, every business takes grind. Nothing is easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But, with the training materials that you have, Dennis, with the technology that we have, with the partners, the other technology partners that connect into Ascend, you have a good a chance as any to basically make a six-figure income within a year. It's not going to happen in a week, but you have a chance to have a six-figure plus income inside a year if you grind it and work the numbers and start getting on the phone. And you can be an entrepreneur. You don't need 1,000 employees. You can have 1, 2, 3 people and make $100,000 to $300,000 a year and live a very nice life if you follow the program.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And as things evolve, this isn't the last time. I have a feeling that Tim will be a part of this conversation. So as things continue to evolve in the TMS world and with different integrations and things they have going on, I'm going to definitely be having him on more often now that we have this partnership and this relationship in place. So get enrolled in at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS, coupon code FBBC. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee for any reason, okay? So check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com if you're curious about becoming a freight broker. Anybody else, thank you for being here, whether you're already a current student, a future student, or someone who's considering it. Make sure you like and subscribe to wherever you're watching this video. Appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome day, and I'll be back next week with another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live.